Good morning to you, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. And we'll be back in the book of Proverbs this morning in the 14th chapter. And we will be starting in the 16th verse. Going to cover another fairly large section today. And if there is a theme to this section, it is the fear of the Lord. He's going to talk about the fear of the Lord two different times and show us the difference in someone who does fear the Lord and one who doesn't. And remember, we talked about this early on in the book of Proverbs that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And when we talk about the fear of the Lord, we're not talking about being scared, trembling, that God's going to hit us in the back of the head with a lightning bolt. A more accurate way for us to say, that we would say it in today would be reverence, respect for the Lord. And so, beginning in verse 16, he says, "A wise man feareth and departeth from evil, but the fool rageth and is confident." The wise man is concerned about the consequences of sin and does what he can to avoid that. Whereas a foolish man thinks that somehow he's smart enough to avoid the consequences, that for whatever reason the consequences don't apply to him. Verse 17, he says, "He that is soon angry dealeth foolishly, and a man of wicked devices is hated." The foolish man has what we would call a short fuse, whereas the righteous man, he controls his temper. And again, he says not only that, he says the foolish man, because he is angry quickly or soon, he deals foolishly. He's apt to make dangerous mistakes. And I would make a guess that every one of us can identify with that statement, that at some point in anger we have said or done something that we ultimately regretted. Whereas the wise man thinks things through. He's more careful. And again, one of the things that kind of a ongoing theme we have seen in the book of Proverbs is he is conscious of the consequences of what comes out of his decisions. The simple inherit folly, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. Again, the simple, he says, inherit folly. And what that means is they end up with a mess because they don't look for wisdom. They end up with lives that are disasters. They behave foolishly, and because of that, they end up with multiple problems. Folly, not a word that's I don't think real common in our world today, but the wise man, he gains more wisdom. He's constantly seeking more wisdom. The evil bow before the good, and the wicked at the gate of righteousness. That again, ultimately, he says the foolish man will end up being under subjection to the wise man. Great example would be if we go all the way back to the beginning of the Bible and see how Joseph ultimately became the power, second in charge, but really the power in Egypt, and his brothers ended up having to bow down to him, and even the Egyptians were having to bow down to him because he controlled the food. And so simply, Solomon is saying ultimately, he said it may be a rough road at times, but the righteous man he comes out victorious. The poor is hated even of his own neighbor, but the rich hath many friends. The righteous man is he doesn't look on someone based on their possessions. And we know that in our society, many people avoid the poor, the hungry, the homeless. A wise man sees people for the creation of God that they are. They don't share or show favoritism between the two. He that despiseth his neighbor sinneth, but he that hath mercy on the poor, happy is he. It's a blessing to take care of and to help those who are poor, those who are struggling along. That we have mercy and compassion on those people. I think that's a biblical principle we see from Genesis to Revelation. Is that that's the desire of God. Do they not err that devise evil, but mercy and truth shall be to them that devise good. Again, the righteous plan to do good, the wicked plan to do evil. That's an obvious statement. In all labor there is profit, but the talk of the lips tendeth only to penury. The wise man works. He puts his, what's the old saying, nose to the grindstone. Whereas the lazy man, the unwise man, he's poor because all he does is run his mouth. He just wastes his time in talking. The crown of the wise is their riches, but the foolishness of fools is folly. He says the wise man is blessed, and they're blessed with riches. They're blessed with the very blessing of God on their life. Whereas the foolish man, the unwise man, he he just gets more foolish. He just gets more foolishness as he goes along. A true witness delivereth souls, but a deceitful witness speaketh lies. A righteous man tells the truth. We've seen that several times that Solomon emphasizes that to his son. In the fear of the Lord is strong confidence, and his children shall have a place of refuge. When a wise man, because he has a fear, a reverence, a respect for the Lord, his reverence, his truthfulness, his honesty, his integrity is a blessing to others. Whereas the wicked man is actually a danger. The children of the wise man have a place of refuge because of his wisdom. The fear of the Lord is a fountain of life, to depart from the snares of death. Again, we see that statement, the fear of the Lord. The righteous man who fears the Lord, who reveres the Lord, he's not afraid of the future. He can live his life confidently. He can live his life with assurance. And what we have is a group of proverbs that just remind us that God takes care of his people. He looks over those who fear him, is the phrase that Solomon uses. And that brings us to the end of that section, but it brings us to an important question. Does our life, do our decisions, would those who know us best say that we live a life that shows reverence, respect, awe, fear, if you want to use the biblical phrase, of the Lord? You think about that today, and I'll see you here tomorrow morning.